routine never changes. And that's something that young people, and when I was younger, had to learn too, was I thought, like, if I had a good game, I could slouch on this. Or I had a bad game, I have to do extra. No, like if you do everything the same, your routine's solid, and you just Monday through Sunday do the same thing, no matter if you had a good game or a bad game, you still have to go back and do the same routines because your routines got you there in the first place. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't tweak it as you get older and certain things, of course, but the routine doesn't mean that you have a good game and then you go down the shore and hang out for 3 days and then you come back. No, it's you have a good game, I'm going to go do my same routine. You have a bad game, I'm going to do my same routine because I'm not going to panic.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clearing the Bases, the podcast where we step up to the plate and dive deep into the world of youth baseball. I'm your host, Jimmy Filangieri. You know, on this show, we discuss all things related to the preparation and development of youth baseball players, coaches, and yes, even parents. So sit back, settle in, and get ready to hear from some of the greatest baseball minds out there.
And you have to figure out how to beat, Japan, for example. Talk about fundamentally sound baseball IQ, consistent throughout. Like, I've never seen IOs like Japan, Taiwan, Korea. I mean, you talk about crisp and everything is the same. Whew.
You know, to be able to reach the highest levels of this game, yeah, you got to work hard. You got to get in the cages. You got to do your strength and conditioning. You know, you got to throw your bullpens. There's all of this physical stuff that you need to do, and you need to work hard at it. But don't forget that you also have to get better at the mental side of the game. And one of the ways you can do that is increase baseball IQ by downloading and using the 6-Tool app.
For baseball coaches like you, every game brings measurable progress. However, game time isn't the time for trial and error learning. Instead, have a proactive approach. Use 6-Tool, the best baseball player development tool on the market. We provide a platform to level up your coaching strategy by helping you to quickly identify and address your players' knowledge of the game. By using our easy-to-implement interactive player quizzes, you can assess position-specific issues, overall baseball IQ, and much more. Win more games and develop better overall baseball players with effective off-the-field training. Visit us at 6-tool.com. 6-Tool. Get ahead in the game.
Well, you know, everybody, I always say get ready to hear from some of the greatest baseball minds out there. And today's guest is someone whose impact on baseball stretches far beyond the field. Kevin Wilson is the founder of Kevin Wilson Baseball. He's a trusted hitting coach to many professional players. He used to be the voice behind the KWB radio podcast. He's a leader in developing hitters by teaching them how to own their process, trust themselves, and find freedom at the plate. Sound familiar? So today we're going to dive deep into Kevin's journey, his coaching philosophies, how he helps players handle adversity, and the lessons he's learned from a lifetime around the game. Thanks for coming on, Kevin.
I appreciate it, Jimmy. Thanks for having me.
Nah, this is a treat. I mean, somebody with your background, your knowledge, I want my listeners to hear what you have to say, especially what we just talked about, handling adversity, lessons learned, mental side of things, which to me is really important. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all those things are really important. I think, anybody listening, and certainly anybody who's been in the game of baseball has experienced all of that, the different degrees. So those are always hot topics, always good topics, always topics that can be touched on every single day of the week.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So tell us, how did all of this start? I mean, take us back to your playing days. Take us back.
Yeah, well, I grew up outside Philadelphia, played hockey, a lot of hockey, big time hockey guy. Played some basketball, certainly some baseball, but hockey was the main sport. And then I don't know, it was right around seventh or eighth grade where the baseball was starting to get a little bit more. And then once I hit the high school age, then baseball became the only sport. So I was a little bit of a late bloomer in some regards to the baseball scene, but I ended up loving it, and I still love it. And it got me opportunity to play in college and professional baseball. And when I retired, I ended up getting into coaching, and I had my own baseball academy, and I was doing lessons. And this was 25 years ago. This was when lessons were not really as popular as they are today. And and one thing led to another, and to now what I'm doing in mentoring professional players and mentoring amateur players, but also professional coaches, hitting coaches, director of hitting positions in Major League Baseball, and really just being more of a mentor than a coach in recent years, which I just love to do because I always tell guys like hitting is a conversation. And so just like we're having conversation today, there's so many conversations that we can have about so many different things within the game, and hitting could be the platform, baseball could be the platform. But so for 25 years now, I've been enjoying conversations and learning really along the journey.
So that's interesting because, like you said hitting is a conversation. And there's a lot of people that believe that, your hands have to be here, your hips have to be here, your feet have to be doing this and da 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 da. Very mechanical stuff. What do you think? I mean, isn't hitting more a mental thing than it is a physical?
Yeah, I'm going to quote my good friend Jeff Miller, who's mental skills coach. I met him when I was at the Pirates. He was our mental skills coach. He says that hitting is 100% physical and 100% mental. And it's true, but when you look at it that way, you need both. But if you are going to say, look at it from a course of an entire career, certainly the mental side does win out because there are a lot of guys that are really good mechanical sound swings, but up top mentally, they may not have a really strong approach. They may not know how to handle adversity. They react rather than respond when things go wrong. They don't know how to game plan. They don't know how to stay on the rail and look for what the pitcher's doing throughout the game. All those types of things. So yeah, it's 100% physical and 100% mental. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's the conversations are geared towards how we navigating the mental side of things and how we seeing things. Like what lens are you seeing the game through? Are you a selfish player? Are you a team player? Are you playing the long game? Or are you freaking out over the one at bat when you have 500 more ahead of you types of things? So yeah, for sure, it's mental.
Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time that I see it both from pitchers at the high school level, I'm talking pitchers and hitters that, in a game environment, they're worried about, like if a pitcher, he's worrying about where his arm slot is, where his release point is. All of this stuff that I don't believe that during a game you should be thinking about. You should be reaching back and throwing the baseball. Same thing in the batter's box, okay? When a game is going on, get in there, see the ball, hit the ball. If there's anything mechanical going on, we'll work on that in practice.
Yeah, and I think that problem, and I was part of the problem because I'll put myself in there. Kids today are too lessened up, and I wouldn't say I'm the main part of the problem because I always felt like I did things a little bit differently than other guys in terms of just having that conversation. Not everybody's the same. We're not like harping on mechanics. There are tweaks and things that you do mechanically, but we're going to teach you how to have an at bat and how to hit in the game. But a lot of the other kids are lessened up. They are going to these places that are very mechanically driven. And I'm not saying that they're bad places because there's some places that do a fantastic job cleaning you up mechanically. Some of the guys I work with have gone and been cleaned up mechanically, and they've done, benefited from that. But to your point, especially the younger generation, they've been lessened up so much that their first thought or where they go first is to the mechanical side rather than the compete side. Like I grew up, you grew up, backyard, wiffle ball, stick ball, where there were no lessons, no mechanical, no coaching, the kids didn't of our generations didn't have to overcome the coaching. Kids today have to overcome a lot of coaching.
That's interesting. Yeah.
That's a big thing that I see.
Yeah. I mean, I love the way you put that because, to your point, I have two kids on my team that are pitchers, and they go through all of these programs and they go lessons and, a year-round thing with them. Well, they have the lowest strike percentage on my pitching staff. And it drives me crazy because I'm like, you guys are throwing all this money away. Meanwhile, so-and-so who doesn't take will take lessons here and there. He's right around the plate every game.
Yeah, I think it's also to parents listening, also half in players, but pay attention to who you're sending your kid to or where you're going. To your point, and that's hard for a lot of people because it's tough to discern kind of what's right. Like who's going to guide me? You're looking for guidance, but who's going to guide me the proper way? And results matter. So if for the Nationals had in spring training last year, like I don't care, ball four, throw harder, ball four, whatever it was. And you see it at the big league level, see it at the college level, minor league level, high school level, like you're talking about. I mean, I see it with my son. My son's in high school, and we've won a couple games so far this year only because the pitcher couldn't throw a strike.
Yeah.
And if the kid was really good, those kids were really good. If they threw strikes, the outcome of the game probably would have been different.
Yeah.
But it was ball one, ball two, ball three, ball four, walk, bases loaded, hit, 2-3 runs score, that kind of stuff. So I see it too. And we have this conversation all the time, kind of like just with the guys that I shop with all the time, just like you do. And, sometimes it's talked about, like, is it ever going to go back? And I think that it is to an extent. And I think we already see it, especially at the big league level. I'm going to just talk hitting right now. You see in the last couple of years more bunts. You see teams and organizations value contact more. You start seeing some things like the one true outcome isn't as widespread anymore. You're getting guys that, I was just talking this morning with a scout, the kid Chandler Simpson of the Tampa Bay Rays. The kid's flies. He's the fastest guy in the league probably now. But his contact rate, his bat to ball skills are so high that, yeah, he doesn't have the slug, quote, but the guy he barrels up everything, velocity, breaking ball stuff right now. We'll see how the league adjusts to him as he goes. But that guy, he swings and strikes, takes balls so far, high contact rate. Oh, and he can run, and he makes a difference in the game to help the Rays win. So that's a, quote, old school player that is in the new school league. And I see that too, where there's some organizations in the last couple of years that are starting to kind of value the old school stuff rather than just the one true outcome of just trying to hit a homer and change the score.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, if you watch, Major League Baseball's playoff time, that's what you see, all right? The game changes. Now, all of a sudden, guys are bunting, guys are moving runners, guys are doing all of the things that, me as a high school coach, we're trying to teach our kids to do, because let's face it, we don't have kids that are going to hit the ball 400 feet. It's not going to happen. So we have to teach them the game, and it's a pleasure to see that.
Yeah, you know what I wish would happen more, and I know it happens. Like we were talking pre-show about some of our mutual contacts and friends that really know this game really well and teach it well. Butch Chaffin being one of them. And my question is who out there are teaching the kids to win baseball games? You just talked about winning baseball games, bunt, playoff stuff. It's playoffs. Like we have to win. We can't like take a week off and then pick it back up.
Right.
High school baseball, Northeast, we're talking like you and I right now, 25 games, condensed. Every game matters. You're only going to get 50 at-bats in the year if you're a player. It's not like you have 700 to play around with. You play every day in the big leagues. You play every day in Northeast high school baseball. You're getting, 5 40, 50 at bats, maybe.
Yeah.
And so everything is compacted. But how are we going to win? Are the people coaching our kids outside of, like, Jimmy, like your program, that are going elsewhere, are they teaching them how to win? Are they teaching them how to be an offensive baseball player? Or are they just teaching them how to swing? Because there are a lot of swing coaches out there, not a lot of hitting coaches.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's so true, because it's one of the things that I rant and rave about all the time, because yeah, they get to the, high school level and we have to start teaching them this. And it drives me crazy, that they're not being taught that when they're younger, teaching, like we just said, we'll talk to we'll talk to the players about, moving runners, getting them over, getting them in, that yes, hitting a deep fly ball sometimes for an out is a positive thing. And they don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, and the parents are culprits of it too, because they don't understand. Let's take that fly ball to the outfield, driven to the outfield, center field, deepest part of the park. Kid is camped under it on the warning track, but it was a good piece. He drove it. It just happened to go to center field, and it's the deepest part. And even if there's nobody on base and it ends the inning, like, you can't, like, you won. You beat the pitcher. Yeah. You barreled it up and you hit a line drive out there and happened to be caught. Yeah. You won. Yeah. Just so happened that guy was standing out there. Yeah. But in batting practice in the cage or in the track man or on the hit tracks, the lessened up kid will be like, oh yeah, that was 390 feet. But it doesn't say out. And it doesn't say, So I agree with you. It's the parents are also sucked into this too. I believe, because of the fact that kids are getting so lessened up. A lot of their experience, 90% of their experience is in the cage.
Yep.
And then 10% of it's on the field with you, watching what's going on. You're trying to develop the holistic ball player, where they're only going to specific. Listen, it's not bad necessarily. Listen, there's a catch. My son's a catcher. He works with a catching coach. We hit in the cage. He works with a speed trainer. He works with a weight trainer. Like, there's specified things, and it's not bad. Right. But if you don't have the holistic approach to it, and you don't wrap them all together in a teaching and winning, like you said, then that's where the disconnect comes. And then, parents are like, well, he's been doing really well in lessons, but I don't know why he's not getting any hits. And, well, no one promised you any hits.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite lines is, good friend of mine, Steve Springer, his line, I love it. And I tell him all the time, I love it. I give you permission to line out 4 times today. And if you can take that mentality to the plate and just, try and do that, and whatever happens, happens. Because, most hitters, young hitters, they look at it the different way. Oh, I got to get a hit. I got to get a hit. I got to get a hit. Well, if you turn the tables on them and tell them, you know what, I want you to try and get 4 outs. Okay. This way, they're not disappointed when it does happen. And as well as I do, you try and hit 4 line drives at one player. Well, you're probably going to go 3 for 4 that day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the process over the outcomes. Yeah, and it's hard to flip that. Listen, it's at the major league level, the guys that I walk and lock arms with every day, they're better at it, but still it's a frustrating game. And then when it's your job and you're in a business at the highest level too, it's no longer a game. It's a cutthroat business. So you could be hitting 341 and get DFA'd or sent down or optioned because there are business moves that need to be made, right? So now your conversation has a whole other meaning to it. But yeah, it's process over outcomes. It's hard for a young person to wrap their mind around it. It was hard for me to wrap my head around it as a young person. And I always remind coaches I mentor, like, never ever forget how hard this game is to play.
Yeah.
And I think, and I don't think, I believe now after so many years that if you do that, if you never forget how hard the game is, you will be able to empathize with players better, hold them accountable better, help them stay disciplined better, and then lastly, just have really meaningful conversations that build trust through the relationship because of that. So those are the best coaches that have ever been around. Never ever forgot
Yeah.
how hard.
Yeah, and it's something that I learned from many coaches. Just what you said, and I tell my players all the time, hey guys, this game is hard. This is not easy. You are not going to step on that field, because again, a lot of younger players have a hard time understanding. We're going to get into this because I want to hear from you. They have a hard time understanding the process. Okay, so they think that they'll come to practice for 2 hours a day, they go home and okay, they're done and that's enough. And, I have to constantly remind them, guys, no, that's not enough. Okay, this game is very difficult.
Yeah, and I guess my question to that is like, who's modeling that for them, right? Because the tough part I found, the 1%, like your best player on your team, I don't know who it is, but if your best player on your team, I would assume, doesn't just show and go. There's a work ethic there. There's some sort of discipline. There's some sort of idea of how he wants to do things, when he wants to do things, like he has his schedule planned out. I would also assume the worst player on a team probably has some blind spots there where he could do some better, regardless of talent.
Right.
He could do some things better. And in terms of like who's modeling it, that's the thing that I always try to help guys with, and now my son too, is like, hey, listen, I'm going to teach you how to look for the guys who model this correctly, because there's probably only going to be one of them. And if we're talking high school baseball, college, you may get two of them, right? Pro, you may get a couple others, but it's not like you have 25 guys doing it.
Right.
But I'm trying to teach them that, hey, listen, this is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like when they're working in the shadows. They're doing so much work that no one even knows they're doing, but it is dripping with purpose. They have a plan in place, down to even the minute of how we're going to do this. And I tell guys all the time, like the guys that I get to work with at the big league level, it's, say it's 3:00 in the afternoon. I know exactly where they're at in the ballpark, whether it's on the training table, whether in their cafeteria, whether in the cage, whatever it is. Like they have a set routine where I know where they're at every time. And they, more importantly, it's their career, not mine. They know where they need to be. And no matter the result the night before, the routine never changes. And that's something that young people, and I had when I was younger, had to learn too, was I thought, like, if I had a good game, I could slouch on this. Or I had a bad game, I have to do extra. No, like if you do everything the same, your routine's solid, and you just Monday through Sunday do the same thing, no matter if you had a good game or a bad game, you still have to go back and do the same routines because your routines got you there in the first place. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't tweak it as you get older and certain things, of course, but the routine doesn't mean that you have a good game and then you go down the shore and hang out for 3 days and then you come back. No, it's you have a good game, I'm going to go do my same routine. You have a bad game, I'm going to do my same routine because I'm not going to panic.
I mean, what it comes down to is consistency, right? You have to be consistent.
Yeah, and no coach wants an inconsistent player.
Yeah.
No scout wants to look to sign an inconsistent player, inconsistent person.
Yeah.
College baseball, you talk about high school guys looking to play at the next level. Yeah, there's talented guys, you know that. There's talented guys. But the guys that play are the ones that are consistent.
Yeah.
My dear friend David Eckstein walked on at Florida. The rest is history. If you don't know who David Eckstein is, look him up.
Yeah.
World Series MVP, 2-time World Series winner.
Yeah.
And he's below 6 foot.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's small too. Yeah.
Yeah. But baseball IQ through the roof, perseverance, determination, discipline, accountability, you name it.
Yeah.
You could not miss him. Luke Wren was the scout that signed him. I'm actually in a Bible study every Monday morning with Luke, and I'm always reminded when I see his face pop up, David. But that's what scouts look for. That's what recruiters look for. Guys are consistent. If you're inconsistent in any area, if you're listening and you're a player, clean it up.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, try to clean that up.
Yeah.
And try to be as consistent as you can. You don't need to be Don't need be perfect. You don't need to be great. To your point, using that word, be consistent on and off the field.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing you mentioned about, Eckstein and, we can say Altuve, we can say Pedroia, all of these smaller players that have reached high levels in Major League Baseball. And you said it, which I love, their baseball IQ has to be off the charts.
Yeah, and I feel like baseball IQ is low.
Very,
Going
very.
back to what we talked about, being lessened up, kind of focusing on the wrong things, not training more, playing less. You know, growing up, we played a lot of games. Now we didn't play a lot of organized games,
Right.
but we played a lot of games. We played rundown, we played pickle, depending on where you grew up. That's two different names for it. Um, we played stickball. We played in the backyard. And listen, if I didn't have any base coaches rounding third base. Like if I had to read the outfield, I had to read the arm. I had to know that, hey, yeah, Joey's out there. He's got a good arm today. Or, oh, he got Art over there. Like he can't throw, so I can take. But I learned that over time. Yeah, by getting thrown out by a mile at the plate on Tuesday. But by Thursday, I knew how to do it. Guys aren't getting that. So that baseball IQ does stand out. Um, I will say, I used to be, before I had kids, I used to say video games. I'm like, no, never. Um, I will say that my son has learned how to play a lot of baseball because he was kind of late to the party on MLB The Show. Cuts, relays, where to throw the ball, that kind of stuff. Now, he has more growth to go in terms of his own experience, but that MLB The Show actually taught him a lot about the baseball IQ of the game, and I wasn't even teaching him. So I used to be the old man, beating on the front lawn, video games, this and that. But I will say, MLB The Show can and perhaps will teach you a little bit of that baseball IQ, at least to get you started.
Yeah, I actually use an app and, I promote it on this show. So if you've ever listened to the show, I use the Six Tool. I have a promotion for it. And that's what it's for, is I give quizzes to my players once a week. And it's like you had said, it's little videos, and then there'll be a question about the video, and because we have to teach it, otherwise they won't. They just won't have it.
Yeah. You made me think back about, when I was working for USA Baseball and we're trying to, find the 20 best players to take overseas, to win a gold medal, not to win a state championship, not to put down a state championship or anything. We won at our school last year, a state championship, but it's different. It's not even close. And in all due respect, when you're wearing USA across your jersey and you're in a foreign country and no one likes you, and you have to figure out how to beat, Japan, for example. Talk about fundamentally sound baseball IQ, consistent throughout. Like I've never seen IOs like Japan, Taiwan, Korea. I mean, you talk about crisp and everything is the same. Whew.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking at guys that everybody had talent. We had TOS, Tournament of Stars, 140 players, and we had to pare that down within 2 weeks to 20 kids. So you got, we had first rounders that we left off the roster. But we're looking for a lot of that baseball IQ. We're looking, where are you going to be scared? These kids had never been out of the country before. Are you going to be scared? Do you know the game? Can you police yourself? Are you a good character guy? All those different things. But man, I have a gold medal because of 20 kids, nothing that I did, but 20 kids who knew how their way around the ballpark.
Yeah.
In the ball field, to your point.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Last year, Brian Madsen took the 12U national team to Panama, and that was the first time I really watched, USA baseball on, I was watching it on a computer. And I got to tell you, Kevin, I was shocked at how well those 12-year-old boys play the game and knew the game. That I said to Brian, I said, this is incredible. And actually, even Butch said it to me. He said, it's just different. You know how he talks. He said, it's just different.
It is, and you just it's hard to explain to somebody. People, I get asked like, "What's your best baseball memory?" Winning a gold medal in Taichung, Taiwan. Um, it will never, nothing will ever top it, ever. And I remember we started the 12U program in 2013. The first program, I think Volpe was on that team. Anthony Volpe was on that squad, 12U, and they were just piecing it together. It was different than the rest. They have it set up now, but we had to kind of scramble and try to find the best, kids. And they won a gold. They actually went to Taiwan that year as well. And, it was funny because I'm sitting in a room, we're like, all right, we got to get the 12, we got to get the 20 best 12-year-olds. And I'm over here on the East Coast. I'm like, I have no idea what that California, San Diego 12-year-old looks like. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what that Dallas Fort Worth 12-year-old or that Miami-Dade down in Florida looks like. Yeah. I can just give you what I see around here. I don't know if that's going to be anything even remotely close to what you guys are looking for. I don't know. But I've witnessed it too. 12s, the 14s, 15s, right? The 18s. I was with 18U. It's just crazy how, again, talented the kids are, but what good baseball players they are for that USA club. Because, again, we're not taking you on talent. We're taking you, can you help us win? You, the high school coach, I need players that can help me win. The college coach, I need players that can help me win. Minor leagues, I need players that might be able to help me win down the road. Big league coach, I need players I got to win now. Yeah. And some managers in the big leagues have nothing to win with, and that's a whole other story for a whole nother podcast. But it's the winning. How many winning ball players do you have? If you can be a winning ball player, if you're listening, if you can be a winning ball player by separating yourself in certain ways that help the team win, and it takes it off of you to help your team win, you're going to play for a long time. I believe that.
I love that. I mean, that's fantastic quote, and I'm going to probably steal that from you. That's fantastic because it's true.
Yeah. There was a kid, speaking of undersized kids, there was a kid in 2012 when I was at USA. His name is Ro Coleman. I don't know if you ever heard of Ro Coleman.
No.
Ro Coleman came from Chicago. And Ro is, he's special to me. And Butchie knows this, and people that were in the room during that year know how special Ro is to me. But 5'3", he'll probably say he's 5'4". 5'3", played on the RBI team at TOS. So TOS had Pony, American Legion, Babe Ruth, your RBI. They were split up into different teams. RBI program came mainly from Chicago, inner city Chicago kids. Awesome, well-run program. The Chicago White Sox, the Aces, do a fantastic job up there. So I'm sitting there at TOS, and I'm laying in the weeds like Butchie in lunch, and Creech taught me to go look for a guy. My job is to look for one guy. One guy that can maybe, help this team, right? Everybody else in the room, they're going to get the 19 guys. They're going to figure out 19. My job is to find the one.
Wow.
And so I'm laying in the weeds, and I see this little kid, switch hitter from Chicago, playing second base on the RBI team. Mind you, nobody from the RBI program had made even trials. So they were at TOS, but they never took the next step to the trials, which means it goes from 140 to 40. So I'm watching this kid. I'm laying in the weeds, talking to Butchie about him. Butchie likes him. Talked to a couple other guys. They like him. Some other people in the room, a lot of other people in the room don't like him. But there's enough. I'm like, but should I keep leaning on him? Like, yeah, lean on him. Okay. And I'm watching this kid do every single thing right, Jimmy, throughout the week. Not only did he hit the best arms from both sides of the plate, he was coaching up his teammates, telling them where to go. He was calling timeout in situations where there's probably going to be a bunt in the play, and he was bringing the entire infield in, catcher included, and telling everybody where to go, what to do. This is the play we're going to run. And I kept watching. He never went on. Like he went on the board briefly at the beginning of the week, and then he never showed up again.
Wow.
I'm watching this kid, and I'm like, and the energy he has all this kid, and he was super locked in. No bat flipping, no nothing like that. Serious ball player. I know nothing about this kid. All I know is his name is Ro Coleman. He's from Chicago, and he's undersized. But he can ball out. So Saturday night comes, Sunday we have selection Sunday. This is whenever all the kids know. They start on Tuesday, and Sunday is the last day. And, they say at the end of the night, hey, do you have anybody have any last words, right? Like kind of like before we go, and basically the roster was set out. His name was still not up there. So I'm in the war room. I'm like, yeah, I got something. And I pulled a Will Ferrell where I blacked out. I don't remember what I said. Like in old school, he's on stage and he kind of blacks out and he doesn't remember what he said, but it was from the heart. I don't remember really what I said, but I meant it. And I said, basically we're crazy if we don't put this kid on the trials and give him a shot because he deserved it. And, try to poke holes in my, I rattle off all these things, try to poke holes in it because you're not going to. That's what Butchie taught me how to do that. Yeah. And at the time, Roe had to think the only thing he had was to junior college. We had a junior college offer out there in the Midwest. I think that's the only thing he had. Well, he makes the trials. Fast forward, he doesn't make the team, but he goes to Vanderbilt. Timmy Corbin recruits him to go to Vanderbilt. Wow. He plays, wins a national championship with Vanderbilt, and he's now on Timmy's staff as a coach at Vanderbilt.
How cool is that?
So for all who are listening, someone's always watching. And everything, Jimmy, that we've been talking about today, like Roe didn't hit 10 homers for the week. I don't know if Roe was even going to hit a homer. It wasn't about that. It was about all the intangible things. It was about all the other things that we talk about.
Yeah.
And he stood out. You couldn't not see him. There's some players that are hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
He was one of them that was hidden in plain sight to a lot of people because of his size.
Yeah.
And I'm 6'2", so I'm not, my son's 5'7". Like I get it. Cal Ripken was my guy. I was like, oh, dude, big shortstop. I play shortstop. Big shortstop. Yeah, Cal, okay. All right, he opened the door for Jeter and A-Rod and those big guys because I grew up in Philadelphia and Larry Bowe was this little guy. I play shortstop, right? So, I'm like, well, maybe I can't play shortstop. I'm not small enough. That's crazy to think about, right? But I never use size as a deterrent for me personally.
Yeah.
And Roe did everything that he could. He controlled what he could control, his attitude, his effort, everything he did to help his teammates. He stood out. He earned that.
Yeah.
He earned that opportunity. That opportunity put him on the map where he was going to a junior college. I don't know how it would have ended, but then all of a sudden Tim Corbin gets, onto him because now he's on the trials. And who is this kid? And Tim, listen, I've known Tim. He recruited me at Clemson years ago when I was in high school. I still stay in touch with him. One of the most fantastic people ever in this game. And for Tim to take a chance, I say chance, but Tim to take him on, and Roe played a lot. Played the outfield, played some infield. Again, big part of that championship team. And now back on at the university. Sabi got drafted by the Tigers, by the way. Played 1 year in minor league ball. Came back to coach. Just this story, I go on and on about Roe Coleman because Roe Coleman is everything, Jimmy, that we're talking about today. And if someone wants to do a deep dive on Roe Coleman, and that's the ball player. Inner city Chicago, his dad played in the Cardinal system. There's a whole story behind that, but that kid, no one was going to outwork Roe Coleman. And he knew he had to do all the little things because he knew that people were going to look over him because of his size.
That's a fantastic story. And we just had on, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago, we had Jet Williams, who's the AAA shortstop for the Mets on. First round pick, number 14 overall. He's 5'6".
Yeah.
Okay. And to your point, everything that you just said about Ro Coleman is Jet Williams. They always counted him out, and he had that attitude that, oh, yeah, I'm going to prove you wrong. Done. And that's what made him into what he is. So, yeah, I mean, you need that drive. You need that, I'm going to prove you wrong attitude. And it's just, it's a good attitude to have. Let's say that.
Yeah, and I will also add to that, Jimmy, too. It's like it's not for everybody, too. I share with so many. The next level is not for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't want to do it, don't do it. There's a trick question that a lot of people ask is like, so do you like baseball? And the kid goes, yeah, I like baseball. Well, I don't know if you're going to play at the next level, right? You got to love it.
Yeah.
Because you got to love it when it sucks.
Yeah.
And it is brutal at the next level. You're going to fail. First time I ever failed was freshman year of college. Like, it stunk. It was terrible. I wanted to quit. I wanted to go home.
Yeah.
First year pro ball, same thing. I called home collect. Date myself. I called home collect from a hotel room in the middle of nowhere. I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. You got to love it. You got to absolutely love it. And if you don't love it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Do it, and it's okay. If you just want to play high school baseball and have a good high school experience, that is absolutely fine. So those are listening that are on the fence too, saying, hey, I don't know if I really want to play at the next level. I want to have a good high school career. You have permission to do that. That's honorable. That's awesome. That is mature. That is to say to yourself, here's what I want to do and here's what I'm willing to do. That's mature. That's maturity. That's not copping out. That's not giving up.
Right.
That's just being real with yourself.
Yeah.
But if you really want to do it, you better answer that question truthfully the right way. You better love it.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at the numbers, okay, like you had just mentioned about high school baseball, if you look at the numbers of youth players before the high school level, and there's, I forget what the numbers are, but let's call it 15 million, okay, players that play youth baseball, little league, and all of this stuff. Out of that, okay, only 500,000 actually play high school baseball. Okay, so if you're one of those 500,000 kids that play high school baseball, well, you want to know something? That's an accomplishment. It really is. And again, it's been so ingrained in these kids because they're looking beyond that. They're looking to college and they're thinking D1 and all of these fantasies that a lot of people have. It is such a privilege to be able to play high school baseball, and people need to know that.
Oh, spot on, spot on. And a lot of that, I will put the blame on the parents too, that it's parents, it's not your career.
Yeah.
It's not your career. Like, it's my son's career. It's not even my career. Like, I'm done and washed up. I'm done. Whatever he wants, if he wants to play lawn darts, let's go. I'll figure out how to do that. Like, and what do we need to do for that? And whatever it is. And that was the one thing for me is I didn't want him to go into baseball because I did it and I was still currently involved in it.
Yes.
And he was a hockey guy like I was. So, like, he came to the party late.
Yeah.
And I remind the guys too, the pro guys, like, hey man, everybody arrives at the party at different times. Say the party's from 6 to midnight. Like, you can get to the big leagues at 11:30, man. Still got there. Like, you don't have to get there at 7. You don't have to be fashionably late. You could be really late and they're closing the doors on you, but you get your name's in the book.
Yeah.
You're one of the 23,000 right now. They got to play in the big leagues. So to your point, I agree. It's, parents, it can't be your career. It has to be the players. And as parents, most of us will do whatever we can to provide for our children. But we have to walk that fine line. And the moment you feel like this is becoming more of your thing than your child's, you're going to have to correct yourself and pull back. And if you can walk that line and let them, he or she, let them have their own career, let them come to you and say, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. And then you can facilitate that and support that however you can. That's a healthy way, because all those years doing lessons, I learned so much before having our guy. I saw parents who modeled it really well, and I saw parents that did not.
Yeah.
And so for all those years, I took mental notes of like, okay, don't be like this guy or these people. Be more like these people. And they gave me a great playbook in terms of how to do it well and not well, but specifically how to do it well. And I think, also too, guys that have played, like parents that have played at a higher level too, you tend to see them out in right field. You tend to see them kind of away from everybody. You tend to see them not as involved in their kids' lives. They're involved. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they're involved, but they're not hovering, not helicoptering, suffocating.
Yeah.
Not texting the coach about playing time. Like none of that. I'm sure you get. I'm sure you don't have those problems in high school, but you see those, you're like, oh well, because they get it. They've already been through it. They know how tough this journey is.
Yeah.
And enjoy the journey. Parents, enjoy the journey. Players, it's tough. I get it, but parents, enjoy it.
You just said something that I'm going to share a little story because this has happened many times. Like you said about playing time. My philosophy is to be brutally honest. Okay. So, and this has happened several times, but most recently last year, his dad sends me an email and says, why isn't he playing da 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 da? He wants to play with his friends. I think he should get the opportunity. So I said, call me. So the dad calls me. So I said, what do you want to do? He says, well, I want my son to play. I said, no problem. I said, tomorrow he will start. Okay. Put him on the field, started. He went 0 for 4 and made 2 errors. I didn't leave it at that. I started him the next game, and maybe he went 1 for 4, but maybe 3 errors. Okay, so it's 2. Then I called up the dad, and I said to him, okay, I said, have you had enough? Dad goes, I get the point, coach.
Wow. See, that's a Northeast thing. I don't know if that's happening around the rest of the country. No. I get that, and I respect that. And you went further than most coaches would in giving him not 1 start, but 2 starts. There's a saying in pro ball is, you don't like it, play better. You kind of illustrated that. Like, you don't like it, well, play better. Yeah. You don't like the spread in single A, play better, because it's Capital Grill and Ruth Chris at the big league level.
That's right.
You don't like the 16-hour bus ride? Oh, it's a quick 5-hour flight to LA from New York, on that charter, and you don't have to go through TSA at the airport.
Yeah. Now, mind you, okay, last year was my first year with this program, and this program has been a mess for a decade. Okay, so I knew we weren't making sectionals. I knew that we weren't going to win. I knew it's going to take time. So, I'm talking like I'm a big tough guy, but I was able to, absorb that type of play because it didn't really matter.
Sure, but I think, you bring up a good point, though, because standards, right? I'm sure you guys have standards. All good programs have standards, and they hold each other accountable. But the standard is the standard. Whatever that standard is, whatever you guys come up with, whatever coaches come up with, if you have a standard and you stick to it, I'm always okay with it. Even if I don't agree with the quote standard, if you say you're going to do something, I tweeted this out the other day. If the players, right? If the front office at the pro level, or say the coach, let's keep it at high school. Coach, you have a standard. Coach Jimmy has a standard. And you say before the season, these are the things that I have, my expectations from you, whether it's behaviorally, the way you play, the way you treat others, whatever. And you allow behavior that does not stand up to that standard, then the players they're not going to trust you. They're not going to take you seriously, right? And so, but if you lay out that standard and you do what you say at that first meeting that you're going to do, then all of a sudden you perk up. San Francisco Giants come to mind right now. Buster Posey is a baseball guy. He learned under Boch, right? So Bruce Bochy. Yeah. Boch was just in town. They're honoring Brandon Crawford. They did it when Boch was in town. Great. But as of this recording, you look at what Buster has done in a short amount of time. We're not even talking about a year in of changing that culture. He's doing what he said he was going to do. He's a baseball guy, bringing more baseball people around him. And again, players are now trusting Like he says, okay, I need this from you, and you do that. It's not like, again, you're hitting 341, you get sent down.
Yeah.
There are things that are happening with Buster Posey and San Francisco Giants because there is now a different standard. I'm not saying there weren't standards before. There is a different standard, but that standard is the standard. And there are people doing what they say they're going to do.
Bingo. Now I'm going to show you something. Bear with me. So this is our hat this year. Let's see. Can I get that? Okay.
Yeah.
So you see that on the hat? All right. It's Lord's High School. That's SCID. That's sportsmanship, character, integrity, discipline. That's our standard. On the hat, it's on the back of every helmet. Okay. And that's the way we do it. And
That is awesome.
And the reason why I did that is because I want people to come up to my players and say, what is that skid on your hat? What does that mean? I want them to, because it ingrains that in their head, sportsmanship, character, integrity. They can't forget it because if somebody asks them what's that, they can't say, I don't know.
Yes.
That's the standard.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I got it from Chaffin.
That's all right. It's yours now.
Yeah, he had Credo on the back of his hat. Then when he told me that, I said, you know what? And he told me that years ago. But this year I said, you know what? I'm using that. And that's what I did.
That's a good man to follow.
Yeah. So one thing that I do want to talk about, and this will probably take up the rest of the show, but you often talk about helping hitters own their process. Okay, I love that term. Okay, explain to us that.
Yeah, owning your process. A little bit of what we talked about before is like, I want to give ownership to the player first and foremost. If you come in standing on your head and hitting line drives, like, let's rock with that. Let's roll with that. I have no idea how to teach that, so you're going to have to teach me how. I've never seen it before, but it's you. So first and foremost, I like to meet players where they're at. Meet them where they're at. I was a switch hitter myself. I was a mess. Right? Nothing, I had two different swings and philosophies and approaches, and I was a hot mess. But because of that, I have always been a believer of you need to swing your swing. And I'm going to meet you where you're at. We'll build out from there. But I am the assistant hitting coach. I am not the head hitting coach. You, the player, are the head hitting coach. So with this, I'm going to try to ask really good questions, and I'm going to try to be a world-class listener. Because I want you to, like you talked about on the hat, I want you to tell me what you're feeling, where you want to go, and then give me an idea how you think you should get there. I'll fill in the gaps along the way, but I don't want, this is not like a dog with a leash and I'm guiding you along. No, you're actually guiding me along, your journey. I'm just locking arms with you. I'll walk right next to you. I'll walk right behind you. I don't want the credit. I'm not going to don't put me in any publication or anything like that. Like, this is yours. So owning your process, owning everything that you do starts with me being the assistant and me guiding them in a direction where they have discovery about themselves and about what they want to do. Because if I tell them, hey, you need to do this, it's much like a parent telling their teenager, hey, you need to do this. What's the teenager going to do? Going to do the complete opposite because dad or mom said it. That's where I come with it. It's like, listen, what do you think about that? Be like, for example, let's take a quick example. We're in the cage. He takes a swing and says, hey, what does that look like? I'll bounce it right back to them. Like, what do you feel? What does it feel like? I know, like, my job, I can't, I'm not deflecting. I'm not trying to stall for time because I don't know the answer. Like, my job is I need to know the answer right away. And I do have the answer because if I come back to a professional with no answer, like, I'm fired. Like, you need to know what you're doing. But if I say, hey, how did that feel? Then I put the ball back in their court, just like you said, someone asked on the side of the cap, like, what does that mean? They have to take ownership of it. And they say, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent, there's really no wrong answer to it. But I'm curious where their process in their mind is at. Because I might have to beg a quick audible because of something they answered back. I might have to audible over here to address that real quick and then give them what I see, right? Not necessarily the answer, but they ask me a question, what do you see? I'll tell you what I see, but then I'm trying to guide them through that. So at the end of the day, and I used to say this, but recently, in recent years, I've seen it. I used to say that I've never seen a hitting coach call timeout and go to the plate. Well, in recent years, I've seen that happen. So, like, I can't use that one anymore. Pitching coaches always call timeout and go to the pitchers. I said, hey, listen, you need to figure this out. So when you're in the box, you can't be going over to me or can't be on the walkie-talkie pitch-com thing with me. There's no hit-com and say, hey, coach, what should I do? If my job is to teach you to teach yourself. Yeah. And this is terrible marketing. And I've always had this because one day I want to have you guys not need me anymore. I want you to call me and say, hey, listen, it's been really good. Time to part ways because I got this now.
Yeah.
And that's like having a kid go off to college or they're 27 years old and they got their own career and house and bills and you're like, and they're surviving and they're not asking for you for money anymore. And it's like, it's that proud moment. Coaching is parenting. Teaching them to take ownership is like a parent parenting their child to be able to go off on their own, use the skills and tools that you've provided for them through many conversations, many experiences, to be able to go out and navigate the at-bat and season on their own.
Yeah. I love what you said about when they ask you that question, you say, what do you feel? Okay, because to me, that is so important. And, people out there have to understand that, yes, not everybody's swing will be the same. Everybody feels something different. One of the things that I talk about all the time is cues. I use cues all the time. And my cues are to get their body to move the way it needs to move. And the example that I use all the time is that when guys are, uppercutting at the ball, they're dropping and uppercutting. I will tell my guys constantly, stay on top, because I want them to move from here to the baseball, okay? And that's the feel. I want them to feel. I don't care if they get in and they're pounding balls into the ground 10 feet in front of the plate. I don't care because I want you to feel what it feels like to get your hands from here to here. So I love the feel part of that.
Yeah, along the way, when the gurus started coming onto the internet, I saw that they made up this argument of real versus feel where it didn't exist before then. A lot of guys were trying to hit balls on the ground if they were popping it up, or if they were smoking balls on the ground, they tried to lift it a little bit. Backyard baseball, figure it out, try to do different things. But it's gotten into such a dumpster fire over the years that no matter what you say, it's always going to have something come back. But I agree with you. I'm a big believer too. Is teaching hitting through feel. And listen, I was having a conversation this morning with somebody, and I'm like, listen, when you got 13 hitters on a team, when you got major league team, you got 12, 13 guys, you have to monitor the heads that roll in that day before you even talk anything about hitting or game planning of that guy tonight, or we're in the meetings. See how Johnny comes in. See how Mark comes in. See how Timmy comes in. You don't know what happened that night. You don't know. I mean, Timmy's got 2 young kids at home. He may have been up all night. Who knows? Kids have been sick, whatever. Like, he looking like he needs a double shot espresso. Like, you try to monitor that. Or you got young single 22-year-old guy over here that's, he got 10 hours of sleep and he's feeling frisky, and you're going to probably have to pull the reins on him a little bit, but he's in a good mood, so you don't have to really worry about him too much. But then it's monitoring the room, understanding the moods. The last thing is mechanics. The last thing is the stuff that you see mostly on the internet. It is all about feel and reading the room. And I love, when I was working on teams too, I loved stretch too, just in BP, just going around and, hey, how you doing today? And a question I ask all the time that I found personally that gave me the best responses and the feel for where they were at that moment was, man, what's on your mind? Because I don't care necessarily how you feel. Again, I get it. You got 2 kids at home. You look like you got 2 hours of sleep. I know you're feeling tired. Like, I can sense that. Like, I didn't need to go to Harvard for that. But what's on your mind? Because, okay, maybe you got that at home, but also, yeah, man, you're like 1 for 32 with 12 punchies. And I know we've been working on stuff, yeah, and I know you had some hard lineouts the last two nights, but like, hey man, what's on your mind? Because it could be like, oh yeah, like, yeah, Natalie at home, man, it's just she's going through stuff here, and I can't get my mind off of this and that. And these are what these conversations fans don't realize are happening every single day, and not just with me. I mean, it's happening all across, right? But that question, what's on your mind, has given me personally the best responses to help me see into their brain. And it almost, like, I found like that question gives permission for some intimate knowledge if they want to share it. Sometimes I ask that question, I get nothing, and that's okay too. Or I'm not interrogating you. But if I build trust through the relationship, they know I'm there for them. Hey man, what's on your mind? I could spark a whole other conversation. That, I've flown in the cities and taken walks around with coffee, got back on a plane and go, and that was it. That was our cage session. Get them away from the ballpark. Get them away from everything that reminds them, that hotel. Get them everything that reminds them of what they're going through. We'll take a walk. We'll talk about life. We'll talk about everything else but baseball.
Yeah.
Hop back on the plane. Boom. Now I can do that on FaceTime. I don't have to go anywhere. But back in the day, yeah. Sometimes it was a coffee and a walk.
Yeah.
That did it.
Yeah. I've done that with players. Mostly former players. They're in a funk or whatever. Hey, coach, I'm struggling. All right, here, hop on Zoom with me. And Kevin, same thing. What's going through your head? And a lot of times what I'll say to him is, I say, okay, wait a minute. Before you tell me what's going through your head, I'm going to tell you. And 9 out of 10 times I'll say it and they'll go, Coach, how'd you know that?
So true. You also remind me of, there's a difference between struggling and being in a slump.
Yes.
Those conversations bring up that point. It's like, hey, are you struggling or are you in a slump? Do you understand what the difference is? Yeah. Most times, I mean, I didn't know it when I was playing when I was younger. I didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
But when you said struggle, like, that's always something. Man, I'm in a slump. Are you really? Let's lay out all the paperwork. Let's lay it all out. Let's see if you're struggling or you're in a slump. You may be right.
Yeah.
But let's, again, teaching you to teach yourself. Like, this is how you process it. So, again, you don't have to call me. I love talking to you. But you don't have to call me down the road. I want you to be able to pass this on, not only to yourself, but maybe to your family or to your teammates one day, and help other people with that. But yeah, you just reminded me of that struggle and slump.
Yeah. I mean, it's, like you said, the great thing that I like about it is the technology part of it, where I can get him on. I could see his face. Let's face it, they're former players. I miss them. I love all my players. So I get to see them, and I get to try and help them a little bit.
There's something about looking in someone's eyes or just looking at them, right? Like you said, it says 1,000 words.
Well, I can tell you, doing this show, I did, I think, 1 or 2 episodes where they didn't want to use the video. I struggled. I need to see the person that I'm talking to, to see how they're reacting, what their facial expressions are. If I can't see that, it's a totally different dynamic of the show. It's weird.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I think that, I'm half Italian. FaceTime is a requirement in the household, so I think you can relate. So yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Before I let you go, okay, so what I want to know from you, the best advice that you can give to young youth baseball, up to high school, high school varsity players, what's the best advice you can give them for hitting?
Failure is an event, not a person.
Love that.
And yeah, failure. Something happened. Struck out. So I'm going to pitch 35 feet in the dirt. We've all done it. Took a fastball right down the middle with the bases loaded in a state title game. It's an event, something that happened, but you yourself are not a failure. And Jimmy, that took me a long time to wrap my brain around and believe. because my identity was wrapped up in being a baseball player for so long. Talk about the family gatherings. Oh yeah, cousin Kevin. Yeah, you're the baseball player, right? Yeah, yeah. We see you the baseball. Okay. It was never. Oh yeah, you're Kevin. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You play baseball, right? Yeah, you're the baseball player. Oh yeah, he's the baseball. Oh, come on over. Yeah. So my whole life, I was the hockey player, the baseball player, the whatever. My identity was wrapped up in what I did. And so anytime I failed, especially because I didn't fail much when I was younger, but when I got to college, I mentioned it earlier, like I failed a lot. Pro ball was tough. Um, and I got into a really bad space because of that, because I thought that it was a person.
Yeah.
And then when I realized that it was just an event, and I'm not the only one that failed on this bench today, right? Like everybody, it's messy. Hitting's messy. Life is messy.
Yeah.
So yeah, my piece of advice is failure is an event, not a person. And I stole that from a dear friend, Clint Hurdle of mine, years ago, and he's been a huge mentor to me. Still is. Love that man. But I had to go through it identity wise. So I feel like a lot of players are struggling with that across the board, no matter what level you're at.
And I gotta say, I'm not surprised that came from Clint. I'm not surprised one bit.
It's the identity factor and who you put your identity in. That's a major thing. So that's what I would leave with you guys.
That's great. Well, listen, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, let people know, how to follow you, your website, all of that type of stuff.
Sure. kwbaseball.com. You can find all the ways to get in touch with me. My socials are on there. KW Baseball on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Instagram on that. But kwbaseball.com is where you can find it all, and love to hear from you.
Well, Kevin, I can't thank you enough for coming on. This was fantastic. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I learned so much just from this conversation, so thank you.
Well, thank you. Pleasure's all mine, Jimmy, and keep up the good work. And I love what you're doing. And as a fellow podcaster, I know all that goes into it. So
thank you.
I'm honored to be here today.
I appreciate that. So thanks again. And, hopefully we'll chat soon.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope you had your pen and your pad out for that one. I can't thank Kevin enough for coming on. I mean, there's just so much stuff there that you could take away. I mean, let's start with, I loved when he said that hitting is a conversation. I feel that people always look at hitting as a mechanical thing. And when things aren't going right away, I got to get back in the cage. I got to get back on the tee. Something's wrong with my swing and this and that. When I would venture to say that maybe 8, 9 times out of 10, those problems that you're having in the batter's box are not necessarily mechanical. Most of the time, they're mental. I mean, I don't even think throughout the whole conversation he said anything about mechanical stuff, that your hands should be here when you hit, and, you should do this, your feet should be here. He didn't talk about anything. It was all about how we get the mind right to hit the baseball. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, because I know I'm a better coach today than I was before I recorded this show, and I can't thank Kevin enough. Hey, don't forget to look Kevin up, kwbaseball.com. And if you want to gain more insight, look up his podcast episodes. I know he's not doing his podcast anymore, but man, there is a library there of episodes that you can listen to that are going to help you get better at what we do. So, if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Visit the website at thectbshow.net. Listen to your favorite episodes and please leave us a review. You can also reach out to the show on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and get this, the old man has finally got us on TikTok. keeps me young. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please drop us an email at clearingthebases@gmail.com. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content and reach more people in the baseball community just like you. And also, let me know if you'd like to be a guest. Until then, coaches and players, keep practicing, stay positive, and remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.